Chris, thanks very much for joining me this evening. And thanks for taking part in the 12-week program, the Real Meal Revolution program. So could you kind of start off and tell me what was it that you wanted to achieve from the start?
I'll go first. For me, for quite a while, I've been struggling a little bit with energy through the day. So I'm tapering off. My energy is tapering off in the afternoon, and it doesn't really recover. Food and drink haven't really restored that in the past. I know, speaking to you, that's something that you've talked about with me quite a bit. So I was quite keen to try what you've been advocating for a while. Yes, that was the big driver for me was energy levels, really.
Yeah, and you've got a job that requires a lot of your time, so that's important for you, right?
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. I think with very high workload, what I would consider a reasonable amount of stress as well. Not being able to function at my best for the whole of the day is quite limiting for us. And having had a second child quite recently, there's other things that are affecting energy levels as well. So yeah, it was quite good to try a radical change to try and kickstart that, which worked out well.
Excellent. Emily, what about you?
I think same for energy. So having had a child about 7 months ago now, wanting to make sure that as I taper off breastfeeding and the energy I'm putting into raising 2 children, I wanted to make sure that I was eating properly and had the energy to function as a parent. And I think we were both struggling with that, weren't we? So notwithstanding the sleep issues we were having, but just not finding energy from food and being able to get back to training as well, get back to the weight training, which we've been doing quite heavily beforehand. And just wanted to give ourselves a really good start with that.
We spoke about it having an impact kind of on your family dynamic as well with your children. So what was it that kind of eating this way and living this lifestyle do you think is a benefit for you as a whole family with your children?
I think one of the goals that you set was to eat together as a family more often. Quite often for convenience and what have you, we would feed kids, get them to bed, and then sort ourselves out. And when energy wasn't quite there, we might be looking to sort of quick, dirty, cheap, easy ways of feeding ourselves, and that kind of becomes cyclical, I suppose, and things get worse and worse. So one of the things that Emily in particular was keen to change was that we would eat together as a family more often. And by making that a bit of a focus of the day, we're eating better, they're eating better. Outside of diet and energy and everything, pickiness of our eldest child has improved a lot. So, because we're eating together, we're all eating the same thing.
And we're eating sort of real food. So it's kind of, healthy. She can see what she's having. It's not kind of mushed up stuff.
Yes, that whole thing's been a lot easier as well. So there've been quite a lot of positives for the family. And
we've kind of finished the process now for about 3 weeks or so. So what's been your change from when we started to now? What have you achieved,
Emily?
So my sort of primary marker, if you like, was weight. So I've managed to lose about 8 kilograms. So obviously I had just had another child, so some of that is kind of the recovery from that. But it's been quite a swift 8 kilogram loss, which is brilliant. My energy, as I say, is massively. It was brilliant, given up to very recently I wasn't having sleep through the night. I was still able to function and start training again quite early, which has been brilliant. I'm almost back to my pre-baby weights in a lot of areas onto that. Weightlifting goals that we had. So yeah, I'd say weight, energy, and kind of the fitness goals as well all managed to be met almost, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and I've I've lost, I think, about 9 kilos, something like that, which is over about 10% of my body weight, I suppose. The weight thing wasn't a massive driver for me, but it's just kind of fallen off really, but without any losses in strength, which has been quite interesting. So most of my training goals have been related to body weight, or wanting to lift, you know, a double body weight in something or whatever. And I don't have to get stronger now. I've just lost the weight, and it happened. You know, it kind of happened. So the power to weight ratios are much better now. I think waist to hip ratios, things like that, have kind of moved in a really good direction as well.
Yeah, so you might say.
Yeah. Oh, interestingly, actually, I didn't tell you. I did a row, I think a 2K row last week, and I embarrassingly hadn't done one for a year. So I hadn't sat on a rowing machine for a year, and I beat my last 2K time by 10 seconds or something like that. So
wow.
Having done no,
yeah.
So maybe it's shifting 10 kilos less up and down the slide or something. But,
of course. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. So, would you say that the changes that you've made are sustainable for you as a family?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we're both concerned that we would feel like we're missing beer, bread and donuts, you know, those you know, little treats that you give yourself. But quite genuinely, we haven't at all. There's the food that we've been eating has been amazing. We're still having a drink, have some wine or gin and tonic or whatever, and yeah, it doesn't feel like we're sacrificing anything or dipping out on anything.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when we've socialised pre-lockdown, obviously, but when we were socialising family over, and we'd cook something within the plan, that how lovely it was, and you know, it doesn't feel like diet food and what have you. So I think that for me has been the most important thing, that this feels so utterly sustainable. There's no measuring of anything at the stage we're at. There's no deprivation of anything. You know, it's all really tasty, fresh, lovely food. And you know, what's not to like about that? Okay, there's been the occasional morning when I thought, I could smash a donut, but then actually, yeah, it passes, and actually there's something else to say that, you know, I'll just have a bit of something else that's also equally yummy, and that. So yeah, no, I think it's entirely sustainable.
Yeah, totally sustainable. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't feel like we're dipping out on anything. I've had no compulsion to go, and I went on a stag do and went a 3-day stag do without drinking the beer, which I think and didn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get through that, I think it must be a sustainable.
Yeah. Some might say that's some achievement. Because of where you live near Portsmouth, we worked remotely. So how did that work for you guys?
It was great. I mean, I don't know if it's beneficial in some ways. In that, I mean, it's 9 o'clock now, and we're having this chat at this time, which suits us with what we've had to do this evening. And maybe if we were coming into you in business hours, that wouldn't be feasible for us. So yeah, we don't feel like we've necessarily missed out on anything by not being physically present with you, and you've been on hand for any questions that we've had, supporting over text or email or whatever, whenever we've needed it. And yeah, the weekly meetings that we've had over Zoom have been fantastic. Yeah. Really good.
And I think some of the questions we had around sort of this training element as well, the fact that you were able to bring that very responsively as well, and we can then feed it in straight away the next training session and what have you. It's been really good. Yeah.
So it hasn't been a limit. I don't think at all, and it's worked really nicely for our lifestyle and slightly irregular hours that we've got for various reasons. So yeah, it's been great.
On your own business, that's pretty tough. So yeah.
Yeah, and I've got 3 bosses in wife and children as well, so they're quite demanding.
Just to add into the mix.
Exactly.
So you've done this as a couple as well. So what are the benefits of working as a couple through these changes?
Yeah, I think that's been it was me that was initially really keen to undertake this, and I kind of dragged Chris into it willingly, but you know, it was me that was like, no, we've got to do this sort of thing. And I think had you not been involved in it as well, I think it would have been a lot trickier.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a family effort, hasn't it? Basically, the whole family's been doing it.
I think so. The sport thing's a big thing. You know, you've got your the blacklist and what have you. And if your spouse was on the blacklist, I can imagine that'd be really difficult. But doing it together was really, really good. I think, and also in our meetings as well, if you're asking how things have been through the week, if I want to gloss over something, then someone might jump in. So I think that those meetings become a little bit more honest and open, or you know, you might genuinely forget something and I can chip in, or generally I think it's really good. It's been.
Yeah, I think it's been really good doing it as a couple. Really, really good.
Okay.
I'd in fact, no.
Awesome. And so one final thing is, if someone was thinking about this as something for themselves, but they were worried about making the change, or whether it was worth the money, or they thought it could be sustainable or not, what would your message be to other men or women that either wanted to just lose a few kilos, or they had a lot of weight to lose? What would your message be to them from you guys?
Do it. Yeah, do it. I think that the massive amount of stuff we've learned about our bodies through the Thriver bit, through talking to you, through understanding a bit more about what's going on, you know, I would pay 10 times that to be where we are now. You know, looking back, I think from an energy perspective, but I genuinely think it's been priceless.
You're not just saying something, you're showing us the scientific evidence, the backing for that, the case studies and things, so that we can read into it, read around it, and satisfy ourselves that what we're doing is right and it's safe. But with training, you know, if we're a bit low energy for training, you can say, well, you maybe shift your balance of you know, in this way, and see if that helps. So it's not like there's a set way of doing things that you have to stick to. You're there adapting it to our needs and our changing regimes and things like that. And I think that's a big thing that makes it sustainable, because without that, you might just say, well, this isn't working, and you jack it in. You know? So that's been really valuable.
It's the holding to account thing as well. I think I have to say, you know, in the early stages, the first couple of weeks, I remember, you know, in the bit where you're clearing out your cupboards and you're thinking, right, I'm going to have to face Andy on a Wednesday night. Am I really going to tell him that I ate 4 donuts a day? So there's that element of it as well. That kind of it's a bit. I guess it's a bit like the slim fast weigh-ins. It's that regular check-in where you're like, actually, I have to justify what I've been doing to some extent, and I have to not be embarrassed about that. And I think that's been brilliant